Hi everyone, just wanted to give you a bit of a build update here on my Su30 version 4 from RC Powers that I'm building as kind of my speed plane here as I get ready to start experimenting with some 4S on quad racing motors. So anyway, I got quite a bit of work done in the last couple of days. Not good flying weather or good for doing anything outside, so I got quite a bit done. So obviously all the pieces are cut out. And pardon me, and I've done quite a bit of work. I'm actually almost at the point where I'm ready to start sanding leading and trailing edges, trailing edge of the wing, the elevons, vertical stabilizers, and that sort of stuff before I start to assemble the airframe. So I'll just kind of go over, you know, lots going on here with the wing plate. Obviously, I already installed the carbon rod. I used 4mm carbon rod because it's good and strong, front of the prop slot and behind the prop slot. I also enlarged the prop slot from the plans, and you can see I've made the leading edge of the prop slot has gone forward quite a bit to hopefully keep the prop as close to being in the center of the prop slot as possible to get you know, best air efficiency or airflow to and off the prop for best performance. I've built this, obviously, the wing plate's made out of Adams Ready board, Dollar Tree foam, so I've already trimmed off the areas of paper, you know, so that I can sand it, and also in the front here, because I'll be putting KF4 airfoils on it, I took that off. I leave the paper on the back just because it's, you know, it adds a lot of strength. It does add a little bit of weight, but it adds a lot of strength to the wing plate. I made my elevons out of Depron. I think I talked about those in the introduction. I probably still will, I've just hinged them on the top so far. I will hinge them on the bottom like I normally do. I've already marked out where my control horns are going to go before I forgot to do that, because it's a lot easier to do that when it's flat. I've cut out a relief between these two booms here, and I think I'm probably, just to prevent these from twisting around too much, I'm probably going to put some reinforcement in here, just maybe a short, you know, 2 or 3 inch section of maybe carbon fiber or bamboo skewer. I'll see what I have laying around. Marked my center line down the bottom of the back plate here. This is the bottom of the plane, you know, so that'll be able to help me align my motor. Just something I wanted to show here. This is just kind of a, I guess, a bit of a technique. Because I sand these, taper these trailing edges, what I do is after I cut out the elevon and hinge it, it's, you know, it is hinged. What I do is that I don't cut any relief out so that these things can move yet, because I want this to be nice and snug, you know, when I sand it, so that I don't catch it here where the elevon or the aileron meets the wing. I also put just a little, I run the hinge tape just a little bit over top of that, the section here where the elevon or the aileron and the wing plate meet. And then eventually, once I sand that, I will cut out a bit of a relief so that these can move freely. And, you know, if you want to, you can also trim off that that extra tape. I just wanted to show you here. I didn't finish this aileron. Sometimes when you hinge them, and I know it might be tough for you to see, you end up with, you know, after you hinge them, it recesses into the trailing edge of the wing by a couple millimeters. So what I'll do here is I will trim this. You know, use my metal straight edge, go along the back of the aileron, and then I will just trim this tiny little bit of wing off here so that it's good and even. And then you can see I've already trimmed about 5 millimeters of paper off the back trailing edge of the wing, top and bottom, and I'll do the same on that side as well. Now there are some, because I used Dollar Tree foam, which is 20 inch by 30 inch, I wanted to keep the wing one piece. When I cut out the plans, same as the MiG-29 version 1, the plans come with the wing plate sort of in 2 pieces. So I taped those 2 pieces together and cut the wing plate out in 1 piece, except for these 2 pieces here, because they wouldn't fit across a 20-inch piece of Dollar Tree foam. So later on, I probably will leave these off till the very last minute before I need to join the the fuselage to the wing plate, just because they're pointed and delicate, and I don't want those getting all chewed up. So I will epoxy those on, similar to the way I did with the MiG-29 version 1. So yeah, so there's essentially the wing plate. I'm pretty happy with how those elevons turned out. They look they look pretty good size, and they're definitely a lot smaller proportionally than this baby here. So I think we're going to be hopefully that's going to help reduce the drag, and I think we're still going to have plenty of control authority there. So I'm just going to set this aside for now. Okay, so I made, as I discussed, I made these, I should mention here, I also, you can see I figured out where I'm going to put my aileron and elevon servos. You can see I've cut the reliefs out for them here already in the sides and the nacelles, and then I also figured out where my rudder servo is going to come in from the top, so I cut that out as well, so that's all ready to go. So yeah, all I did was, once I figured out sort of where my aileron and elevon servos were going to go, I just cut them out of one, got it all sorted out, and then just kind of laid it on top of the other piece, lined them all up, and then just used that to cut out the relief for the servos. So I think that's going to work out well, and it should have them all fairly closely concentrated around the center of gravity. I just cut this relief out. This is going to be on the inside of the nacelle, so when the servos go in on this side, I'll have this little relief cut out here so that I can run the servo wires a lot easier into the actual fuselage to hook them up to the receiver. So there's that done. So I went with KF4 airfoils, as I discussed in the introduction. I've already cut out the relief for the servo. Now what I do here is I actually cut, I trace out where the actual body of the servo is going to snugly fit, and then I also measure so that when I push it down, I want this to sort of countersink, because it's going to glue into the wing. So this will actually countersink down into the KF. So this is a little bit longer to compensate for these flanges on either end of the servo. Got my bottom KFs here cut out as well, and I've already trimmed these in about 3/4 of an inch, because that way, my servos are going to be on the inside of the nacelle. So I trimmed about 3/4 of an inch off of here just to make gluing my servos in and all that sort of stuff easier. I did the same thing on my other Su30, and it'll work just fine. It'll still give me what I need. Now what I did was I measured out, I went with 40% of the total wing chord. I didn't actually, what I do is I don't account obviously for this part of the leading edge root extension. So what I do is I just sort of, go along the leading edge of the wing, and I draw a line straight in, and then I start figuring that this, from here up against the fuselage, measure all the way back to the trailing edge, figure out what that is, and then take 40% of that. So that's what I've gone with at the root, and then at the tip, I went with 35% of the chord at the tip. It's just a number that when I was helping test the NAMC planes, MiG-35A, MiG-35B, MiG-FA, and the Su-27, we just found that for planes with a swept wing at the angle, pardon me, I've just done a little something to my back here, so with the swept angle of the Su-27 MiG, that sort of stuff, it just seems that about 40% of chord at the wing root, up against the fuselage, and 35% at the tip seems to be fairly ideal. Still gives lots of great stability at speed, which is obviously something that we're going to be looking for. So these are made out of again, out of Dollar Tree foam, Adams Ready board. I've already taken all the paper off, and I've already poked. I poked the hole through the wing plate to mark the center of gravity. I've already done the same thing on the top KF, because I normally do when I check my CG, I normally do it by flipping the plane on its back, so that should line up with the CG hole that's in the wing plate. Okay, let me get these little pointy things out of the way here before I end up damaging them. So here's the fuselage. It is a score and fold fuselage, so I've got it all taped on the inside, as well as the canopy. The canopy's got a couple of hinges here that it hinges on. So I've already taped those so that when it comes time, we're all ready to go there. I did make my motor mount. This is the piece that's going to slide in to the wing plate, to create sort of a plus sign. This is actually going to be the back of the motor. I did make this out of some scrap Depron just so that it's nice and strong. Gives a good foundation for the motor mount. And everything else in the fuselage is all made with Dollar Tree foam with the paper off. I actually, before I started putting any tape or anything like that, I actually weighed the raw foam, and it was only at about 96 grams, I think. So it's pretty light. This is just another trick here. I think I might have mentioned this when I did my MiG-29 version 1 build. I got in the habit of doing this a couple of years ago. It just helps things be better organized, and you can tell I'm so well organized here by the looks of my terrible workbench. But this really helps during a build because then I know where everything is, so that if I need to grab a servo, to mark it, or I need to check my control rods, whatever, I got everything all in one bag. And the other thing is I've already got all my control horns, my motor mount. I've already pre-drilled all the holes in those to make sure that my push rods and clevis on the ends of my push rods are going to fit in there okay. I've got my receiver. I've got that bound already. I've already checked that all the servos are working properly. My speed controllers, to start off with, I'm probably going to go, as I talked about in the intro, I'm going to probably start off with the Hobbywing Platinum Pro, but that may change when we start the bench testing. I've got the Emax 2306 2750 kV motor in here. I haven't put a prop in here yet. I'll probably get a brand new prop and balance that and put that in when we're ready to go. So this has just worked out handy for me. Like I said, I've got all my push rods, servos, receiver, speed controller, motor. Normally I would put a prop in here, and my motor mount. So everything's all in one place, so that I don't have to dig around in this conglomeration of stuff to try and find things when I'm getting ready to put the plane together. So there we go, folks. Like I said, just need to do a little bit more work here to the wing plate. Get this trailing edge of this side of the wing all evened up and get the paper stripped off, and then we'll be ready to do a little bit of sanding on the wing plate and on my vertical stabilizers, and then we can start putting the airframe together, mating the fuselage with the wing plate and all that sort of stuff, and yeah, we'll be good to go. And like I said, I will probably put some reinforcement. These booms are kind of cool for scale look, and they actually, I found over time, they actually make the feel and the pitch just a little bit softer, but maybe that's just maybe this is just my way of thinking, but it seems to work out okay. So yeah, just some sanding, and then we'll start getting the airframe put together. So I'll probably, unless there's something I really think I need to share with you, once I have the whole dry airframe together, I'll probably come back and I'll show you. By then I'll hopefully have figured out how I'm going to get that nose nice and smooth, and the area around the canopy and that sort of stuff nice and smooth, so that we have the sleekest plane possible. So there we go. Thanks for all the feedback and comments in the initial brainstorming video. Much appreciated. Keeps me motivated here to keep going. Yeah, I'm just going to keep plugging along, and I'll be back with you. I've also started a playlist on the YouTube channel that'll have everything to do with the build, and then I'll probably put all of my field test videos with this plane in that playlist as well, so that they'll all be in one spot if you you want to follow along and see how the research and testing and development goes. So thanks very much for watching. Blue skies, calm winds to everyone. Park jet noise, you have the sound of freedom, baby. Take care.